So what do we do if we have false claims against us and we don't have any money to hire a lawyer? This is what I'm going to talk about in this video. It's a Q&A that comes from, well, this email, which I have now closed on my phone. Okay, all right. Where's the email? Where is it? Boom. This email, and it's a gentleman asking about a situation in a court case where he's getting false claims. He cannot see his child and he doesn't have any money to do anything. And we're going to break this down step by step as best I can so that if you're going through this situation, you will know how to handle it. Let's go. Gentlemen out there, thanks so much for watching. And my name is Steve Maeda. I've been coaching men for 18 years. I have support groups that have run for 15 years that are nonstop. We have over 30 hours of calls a week that help guys out on many, many different things. Every single one of the male problems in modern culture, one being divorce and custody. We have been dealing with this for 15 years in a men's group, and myself, 18 years of coaching men. And I also have my own story and all this other sort of stuff, but man, there is a lot behind this. If you cannot afford an attorney, there's a couple things that I want to start out with this. And first one, let's go to some free resources. I have free resources. I have the Single Dad's Guide to Divorce and Custody. I would download that and I would read it and study it. And I'm currently rewriting it. I wrote it in 2020. So I'm rewriting it. There's just thousands of guys I've helped with. And then since then, we've reversed protective orders since then. If you want to understand how difficult that is, it is really, really difficult. And man, it's for free. You can do it. The new version will have a video series attached to it. But if you're watching this and the new version isn't out yet in December of 2023, then you can watch this video series. I'll put a link to it up here or whatever, those little things on YouTube that come out, the cards, as they say. And that is a 5-part video series, which talks all about divorce and custody. In that there is a lot. And even with all of this free stuff, it's still not enough because you most likely need some guidance. Man, it is hard. I've done this for a long time. It is hard. Emotionally, mentally, legally, it is very, very difficult. So you need a support system. But let's go back to those free resources. There's also lawyers that are online on YouTube that you can watch and listen to. I would get a lawyer in your state. From county to county and state to state, it's different. So if you listen to a lawyer who's in Tennessee and you're in Texas, there could be differences that come into play. The general idea in theory is going to be the same, but there's going to be differences. For instance, like in Florida, the default, they're making it now to be 50-50. That's unheard of. In most states, it's usually there's a primary, and that primary has the kids 80% of the time. And then the dad, who's usually not the primary, sees them on weekends, and nobody really wants this, right? So you got to look at the free resources and study them, okay? The second piece of advice that I'm going to give to you is stop listening to your friends and family about what's right. You are not going to argue your case in front of your friends and family. You're going to argue it in front of a judge. So you need to understand what the judge thinks of and all that sort of stuff. So let's just say this. The judge I'm in Travis County in Austin, Texas. The judge that I get assigned to is going to think and rule in a certain way. I should learn as much as possible about that judge or the judges in that county that are going to rule on it, instead of trying to figure out what my friends and family think and watching a bunch of people on YouTube. Now, I did say, get the free stuff on YouTube, but you need to look at what your judge is going to understand and look at. Even if you go to a mediator, even if she has a lawyer and you don't have a lawyer and they're going to argue with you, you have to understand how that judge is going to rule. So that judge has a personality, and that's very far in the secondary. So that means their personality, how they're going to react or decide, or what they favor, if they favor women or men or whatever it is. And they're not supposed to, but people are human beings. You have to understand that, but that is secondary. The primary thing that they are going to rule on is the law, and not what your friends and family think, or even your lawyer friends who are not working your case. Anybody who is not your lawyer working your case is giving an opinion. So they could be a lawyer, they could be active, they could be helping your friend's case, but if they are not retained by you and committed to your case, then they really don't know. And if you don't have the money to hire a lawyer, then guess what? Learn what the judge is going to rule on. So step one on that is that you need to go to the county courthouse or watch on Zoom your judge's court cases or the judges in that county's court cases, and you watch it for family law and you see how they rule. Now, a lot of guys walk in there and just go, men get screwed, but they're ignorant and they're foolish and they're spreading misinformation about men in the court system. What they're watching is women and men that are unprepared. They design their case wrong. Their lawyer designs their case wrong, and the judge is forced to react in some sort of way. And that judge then reacts usually towards the woman. So if you put a judge in an impossible situation and they can't really listen to either side or listen to you, they're going to generally side with the mom. Okay? So the best thing you need to know is how to hold your composure in a courtroom and all these different things. And this is a discussion for a little bit later. But step one, watch the judge. Understand the judge is the only person who you have to influence in this. Even if you go to mediation, you have to say, hey, look, I understand what the law is and what a judge is going to rule on, and you want me to sign this? That's ridiculous, because if I do that, if I don't do that and we go to court and we go in front of a judge, they're going to do this, and that's what I'm siding with. That's your whole point of the argument. It's not that your brother and uncle and you have 5 witnesses that will testify she's a liar. That does not matter. It matters what the judge thinks, okay? Really important. The second thing in that is you go to your county clerk's website, okay? So if you go to your county clerk's website, they are going to have tools on whatever is going to help in your family law case. So if you go on their website, or I would even say go to the county clerk's office, and you go there and you say, hey, I'm in a custody battle. I need help with this. What can I do? And they will help you. They will help you understand where the laws are and aren't. Once again, okay, they are not the judge, but they get the law and the formalities a little bit better probably than you do. You're still going, but she said this and lied about that and she's making false claims. What do I do? Man, it doesn't matter. They're just there to help you, to give you resources. And you need to listen to what those resources are and whatever steps they suggest in that. Very, 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 very important. Okay, that's really important. Okay, this next thing is you need to get more money. All right, so I've run a men's group for a long time. Every single one of us who got screwed over in the court systems didn't have money. We did not have that. We did not go like, man, I just have this extra $10,000 to $50,000 lying here to deal with these false claims that are dropped on me. We earned the money. We did not have that, and we were screwed. And there were times over and over again where that happens. Like it's November 1st, and I have a date on November 16th, and I need to come up with 10 grand to retain a lawyer for all of this stuff, and I have no money. And my bank account's negative. There's so many stories like that within our group where we go out and earn it or figure out a way to get it and do whatever we can do to get it. Now, I understand that you can't just do this right away, but I want you to understand something. There's also guys in our group who have kids, because our group isn't just about divorced guys, it's about everything. So there's dads who have kids that were born with a birth defect, or somebody got in a car accident and all of a sudden there's a major surgery needed. That major surgery needed costs huge amounts of money. And it usually costs more than divorce and custody. And if it's really problematic, then they have to fly to another state to get it done. And it's horrific, horrific. I mean, I'm going to refrain from talking about it because I don't want to share people's personal stories, but it is just the worst freaking thing. When those guys come on the call and talk about how they have to borrow, take out loans, do whatever, slave away, commit to the next 10 years of paying off $100,000 that they need right now to pay for the ambulance bills and whatever that goes into whatever tragedy that came their way, and you're a divorced guy and you're trying to make $10,000 or you got screwed over for $80,000 or whatever it is, you get really humble. Because you're sitting there stuck in the blame and how I can't do it and I'm hurt by things, and I get it. Divorce is very different. You know, it is very emotional and all these different things come into play. But when you hear that and you see those men step it up to do whatever for their child, it kind of makes you think, if this is a custody case and you're willing to do anything for your child, right now, start working 10 more hours a week at a part-time job. Right now, start working 15 more hours. Right now, start selling things. Like, it's not the $10,000 you need. It might only be $100 here and there, but do it. Start having that mentality. Because I tell you what, if your child is 2 or 3 or 5 years old right now, they're going to be much more expensive when they're 17, 18, 19, 20. This is a reality of all of it. You have to learn how to step it up. Like, this is part of fatherhood. So yes, I get it. You want to see your kid. You can't see your kid. You have false claims coming in. You have all this sort of stuff. You're in pain. You're all screwed up. I get it. I totally get it. You're going to have to step it up. Now, the other thing that's written in this is they can't afford my groups. Look, my groups will save your life. They do this all the time. I get it. You think I'm some guy on the internet selling something and I'm just greedily sitting here. Man, I work 60 hours a week. I'm about to do a meetup for guys locally in Austin to meet with them. Yesterday, I did 8 hours of group calls, let alone private calls that I did for clients. So your normal working day is what I am doing just as a baseline. That also doesn't come into play the 4 hours that I put into rewriting the Divorce and Custody Survival Guide for Men. That'll take about 30 hours of different work that goes into it, let alone the videos that go into it and videos like this and so on. I work all the time. I'm not complaining about it because I love doing it. I love working with men. That's why I've done it for 18 years. I'm asking you for $55 a month if you pay, with a couple months at one time, or $97 a month for something that is literally going to save you thousands of dollars, put you in a support group of men immediately that has 24/7 support. They will call you up, you will call them up, and they will talk to you. More than likely, if you live in Washington State, if you live in Texas, if you live in Florida, I'm trying to think, California, if you live in some of the states where we have a high density of men in our groups that are fighting through this, Arizona, they will know the judge that you're about to deal with. This happens quite often. They will know how that judge thinks and they may have already filed all the stuff for you. You have to understand, if you do not have, this is my perspective, if you do not have the $55 a month to join a group that is going to absolutely have your back, and I get that you may not see that online, but that's the reality of what we do, that is going to support you through all of this. What are you choosing as a father? That's a tank of gas. That's that bag of chips that you get every day to make yourself fat and weak. You could forego that and pay for a group that is going to support you in those things. Like The Rising Man is a freaking charity group that rises to the top of your expectation, that is going to save your freaking life. Not just in divorce and custody, but help you rebuild after that. And like, we kill for you. We do so much for you. Man, I get it. It's a bad economy, but you live in the United States, the place where it is easier to make money than any other place. It's hard to be rich, but it's easier to make money. Actually, I don't know about that. You could do those things too. So the Rising Man is not there to gouge you, screw you over, or anything like that. I would really, really sign up for it. It's really, really important. Okay, a couple things here is you have to know what you're facing. If somebody is making false claims against you, and I get it, it's super common. You don't need to convince me that it's a lie. I get it. There's I deal with this all the time. And I want to tell you that it's going to repeat. It's going to repeat until it is stopped. So you have to start thinking, how do things get stopped? Well, in the court case, and especially with crazy baby mamas and so on, things get stopped in a very specific way. They get stopped either legally, they get stopped with money, or they get stopped with taking away kids. Now, your mind may go wild with that. Like, I'm not going to take away the kids. Okay, I'm not saying that you take away the kids. I'm not saying that you talk shit on her. I'm not saying that you start a public shame Facebook campaign or whatever on what a bad person she is. What I'm saying is, let's think about that. Money is going to stop her once you start putting the pressure on her legally. Now, if you can't afford a lawyer, you can learn to file yourself. Again, pay the freaking $50. Join my group or whatever. If you can only do month by month, the $90, $97, join my group and work with guys that will help you do that. Okay, let alone help you out with so much more. You can design your legal case yourself. You can. I would not recommend it, especially when there's false claims. You can make too many mistakes, and those mistakes will be, let's put it this way. If you get a protective order on you, you won't see your kid for 18 months, 2 years, maybe more. You just won't. You have no say. If you try to, you get arrested immediately. If you send one message with the intent to communicate with your child who loves you and you love them, you'll go to jail if you have a protective order on you. You don't want that. And then instead of a custody case, you're dealing with a whole case with CPS or DCFS or a criminal case around abuse. And it's crazy. So don't do that. Okay? You don't want that protective order. If those are the stakes, this thing is going to repeat. Now, one of the mistakes that guys have, and I've fallen into this, and many of the guys have fallen into this, is the police will get notified and CPS or DCFS will get notified. Child Protective Services or something like that will get notified. The cops think the case is BS and they don't do anything about it. So then as a guy, you have confidence, you go, man, I'm good. Well, DCFS or CPS thinks that it deserves investigation. And so then you go, man, but the cops said, I'm good. No, they're two separate entities. You need to take them just as serious as the other. Or they've made false claims 5 or 6 times and CPS or DCFS or the cops threw it out each time. And you go, man, this is going to mean something. I'm going to present that they habitually made this lie and, they're going to believe me. No. And you could think all you want about how screwed up that is, but let me just take you into this mentality, because this is how you have to prove that it didn't happen, is that they just see that there's some form of abuse and they need to investigate it, and they're investigating you. And for the time being, for that understaffed, people who hate their jobs, high turnover CPS organization, they're going to take their time as long as they need to determine who did that abuse or what happened and whatever. And until then, everything stops. You being a father stops. So that is their precaution. This could take a long time. And in that time, your kid is being brainwashed and all this sort of stuff and yada, yada, yada. You never want it to get to that point. So if it's that bad, I want you to understand this. If it is that bad, you need to understand that you need to stop this. If it is going to repeat and not stop until they are stopped, you need to then stop it. Because if one time it sticks, you are fucked for 18 months minimum. And if you don't have money now, you will really, really not have money then. Okay, so how we stop it is we start putting the pressure on them legally. Not that they're liars and you have 10 witnesses that think they suck as a person or are a bad mom. You start looking at what are the requirements for parenting. How are they breaking those rules? Usually somebody with a personality disorder is going to be really good at something, but really bad at other things. Are they using drugs? Are they driving under the influence? These are the smoking gun, silver bullet things. Are they doing those things? But are they taking their child to the doctor? Are they doing these things? And you need to start getting on that. And you need to start stepping it up with those things on your end, because this is how custody is determined, right? You need to start going to your child's school, interacting with their teachers, being involved in these ways and understanding what's going on. By being a good parent, you're going to start seeing where they are not a good parent. You don't get loud. You don't do anything on social media. You learn because you went and watched the judges and learned about family law. You start making a case against that with them. Once they start doing that, they are going to be on the back foot and they're going to need to hire a lawyer and they're going to have no money and they will start to calm down. At first, they might get a little bit more aggressive, but you need to get how this stuff works. You need it. It is not the Wild West and trash talking back and forth. It is not convincing your friends and family. It is speaking the language of the courts in this. So this is really, really important, okay? So you could put the pressure on them in that way. Now, if they are threatened with losing custody of their child, they will have the fear of God in them, okay? This is huge. This could calm things down. If you start building a legal case against them and they have to start defending themselves legally, this costs money. If they go to court and you know how the courts work and they get embarrassed in front of the judge, they're going to start being traumatized by that court, even though they probably don't need to be. They're going to be like the guys that you hear say, oh my God, we just get screwed. She's going to think that. This is what you want. These forms of intimidation, or whatever you want to call them, it's actually in some ways what a lot of judges are hoping for when there's just careless disputes happening and people are pissed off. This calms people down, this fear. Okay, so I want you to understand this. I want you to process all of this. This is a much longer video than I thought. And man, I was going to tell you right now, if you don't have any money, you gotta step it up as a dad. You've got to do this. Okay. Download my stuff. The links are there. If you go to the direct.me Steve Maeda /Steve Maeda, you can get all the free stuff that's there, and you can watch the free Divorce in Custody 2021 video series that it's really good. It's really thorough. It's going to help you out. Get started there, man. I hope you get the help you need. All right. Later.